What's going on, guys? I'm making another video. Why not? For today's video, we're going to talk about 6 things that you can do to really improve your English. So, one of the things that I always hear many times throughout my career as a teacher is, Casty, teacher, how do I really improve my English? What should I do to really improve my English? And it's a common question that you always hear all the time. And probably that is a common question that you always ask yourself all the time. So if you're wondering, watching this video, wondering, how do I improve my English? I have 6 things that you probably know already, but maybe you're just not really putting, I don't want to say you're not putting a lot of effort, but maybe you're not too aware that these simple things that I'm going to tell you are actually very effective. Now, before I say these 6 things to you guys, one of the very most important thing that I will tell you is to take it easy. Learning a language, you have to understand this, right? You have to take this from a teacher, and then at the same time someone who studies language, and at the same time someone who's studied 3 or 4 languages before, is that language is a process. It's very complicated it's simple. The tips that I'm going to give you are simple, but it's hard to follow. But at the same time, you have to understand that everything, learning is a process, and it takes time. It takes time. I can't preface that enough, that it really does take time. And there are many factors that affects basically how you learn a language. Now, with that said, I'm going to tell you the first one that I have, and that is to use English extensively. What do I mean by that? When you go to school, right, or when you study English, you probably study English, let's say, minimum 3 or 4 hours. Maybe if you are in an actual English school, you study it for about 6-7 hours a day. But maybe after that, once you go home, you go back talking to your native language, which is not a big problem at all. There's no issue with that. You can speak your language anytime you want to, but if you really want to develop your language or English, then you really have to extensively use it. You use it after your school. You use it in other situations, not only with talking to your friends in school or maybe talking to your teachers. You might want to use it in different situations as well. Now, if you are watching this and you're in a different country, or maybe you're not in a country that speaks English and you don't have that privilege or liberty to use English outside the classroom, then there are many other ways as well. So that's the first one. I just said, use it extensively, use it every time. Use it at least 80%, 90% of the day if you can, right? That is the first one. And it takes a lot of discipline and setting up boundaries, telling yourself that, hey, I'm actually going to use English as much as I can so that I can really improve it. That's how you do it. The second one, right, that you can do in your own time, and at the same time, this is tying to the first one by using it or using English, is to listen to music, right? Listen to music, listen to a podcast, watch movies, shows that are in English, right? I'm pretty sure this is something that is easy for all of us, right? For all of you guys learning English. Listening to English all the time, watching movies all the time, and just getting your practice there. And that is one good way to improve your English. Read books. If you are someone who likes reading books, read books. Or if you like listening to podcasts, English podcasts or music. The third one is, again, if you have the liberty or you have the freedom to do it, if you have the means to do it, if you can do it, is to really immerse yourself with the culture. So this is by going to a different country to study English and really staying there for a couple of months to maybe even a year to really study the culture, really have this experience, immersing or putting yourself in that environment. And that really does help a lot because you actually learn something culturally, and at the same time you're always with people who speaks the language, the target language or English. Then you're forced yourself to really use the language. And that is one way, if you have the means to do it. It's so much easier. For example, in Canada, there's Immersion for French, right? A lot of people would say it's not as effective, but I would say from a lot of people, and this is something, again, just from experience, Immersion really does help a lot. And one more thing, taking the discipline to do it. Number 4, right? And this is something that I would tell my students. Who are you talking to aside from your friends or your circle, right? Or what are you doing to really use English outside the classroom? You have to, I wouldn't say spend so much time, but rather I want you to maybe use English in this different situation. Maybe if you're always with your circle who speaks the same language, your native language, maybe it's good to try other things such as talking to someone who speaks English all the time, right? Again, for instance, my class, right? My free classes, this is a good opportunity for you to actually just talk, have a conversation, and it's free. And it's a good way to practice your speaking when you have some time. But my point is really talk to people. Go out, go out of your circle, talk to other people who speaks English. If you can, have the courage and confidence to do it. So a lot of my students would go to meetups, try to meet people, people from around the world and practice their English. And it really does help a lot. It really does help a lot. And your motivation is up there because you're actually meeting other people and meeting new friends and you're using English. So it's a win-win situation for you. If you are not in an English-speaking country, you might want to, and you got to be a little bit careful on this one. Go to, let's say, ESL cafes, maybe it's what it's called in your country, ESL cafes, ESL conversation club. Go there and meet other people and use English. And it really does help a lot. It does help a lot. Number 5 that I have for you guys is, and this is very, very important as well, and that is to try to find a model. What I mean by that is try to find someone you really admire who speaks English. Maybe it's an actor or whoever, maybe a speaker, maybe it's your teacher, right? And try to observe them. Try to observe them, try to listen to them, try to watch how they speak, and try to emulate that, meaning try to copy how they speak, try to copy their tonality or their verbal crutches, and you learn a lot from them. So find a model and maybe just continue watching them, observing them, and try to see how they talk and try to copy how they talk. And it actually does help a lot. Finding a model really does help a lot. Now, the 6th that I have is, if you are, again, here in Canada, or maybe you're in an English-speaking country, is to, and then if you can, try to get a job, or if you can't get a job, try to get a volunteer. Again, this is tying with my other point, which is really going out of your circle or getting out of your comfort zone and really putting yourself out there. You're putting the discipline, you're putting the work, and really putting yourself out there and using the language extensively. Go find a volunteer opportunity. There are many volunteer opportunities out there. And a lot of students would say, oh, my English is not that good. If you're in an English speaking country and people are looking for volunteers, just go, because they would love for you to be there and volunteer, because it's free work for them, right? So volunteer, or if you can get a job, get a job. It will drastically improve your language very fast, because you're in an environment wherein you'd have to force yourself again to use the language. And what happens is you constantly stretch yourself. And when you constantly stretch yourself, it's like a muscle, right? You put pressure on it all the time. You rest a little bit, the next day you get better. So that is really how you really improve your English. The 6 tips that I gave you, they're not always going to be, they're not applicable to everyone, because again, some people have the privilege of actually going to a different country. But things like really trying to go out of your way to use English all the time, maybe ask your cousin or whoever you know that speaks English to talk to you, maybe at least not 3 hours, that's too long. Maybe 2 hours, 1 hour, or like just find your own way to really use the language all the time. Don't know if you have a friend in your school who really wants to learn English as much as you do, talk to them and ask them, hey, maybe we can chat for an hour each day and just use English. We can talk about whatever, and it's just to really practice your English speaking. In other ways, like let's say speaking, listening, writing, again, it's a matter of using it all the time. So those are my 6 tips for you guys. Hope you find one of them helpful or maybe applicable to you, or maybe something that you in your own way can do. And if you have any questions to me, comment down below. At the same time, again, before I leave, I am offering free classes twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And those are conversation class, but at the same time we cover grammar as well. It's a really, really good place to practice your English. So if you have some time, come join, and it's fun. I'm pretty sure, I can assure you, you'll have tons of fun. Anyway, this is again your boy, your teacher, and your friend Casti from Casspeak, and I'm signing off. Bye.